One thing we were talking about, and it was a very heated debate in, I remember 2017-18 about security tokens. And like you mentioned, Michael, in the eyes of law, crypto assets can be treated like securities. The rules can be very similar because they have been treated similarly by the investors as a medium of growing their returns, growing their portfolio values, etc. And at that point of time, we saw security tokens everywhere. Now we are seeing tokenization of assets. We are seeing NFTs and the hype, which is justified. NFTs have got, it's tremendous. And it might be something which institutions have not started to look over, because right now we are seeing the NFTs are mostly for digital arts, for artists, for gaming, especially in this artistic industry, creative industry. But Jonathan, do you feel that maybe tokenization of assets, and sometimes I feel mostly about real estate and NFTs, do you think they in some part catch institutional attention? And is there a way that institutions can explore a way to deal with these NFTs, tokenized assets, and this part of the crypto space?
The short answer is it's inevitable. And coming back to this evolution thing as well, is what at Blockdata we've held the viewpoint that it doesn't matter what you're tokenizing, be that a JPEG, be that a physical asset, be that real estate, be that another financial instrument like a loan or something. The process that you're going through from a technical point of view is very similar, if not the same, when you're issuing an asset on a blockchain. So what we say at Blockdata is we call it the great asset migration, where over the next decade, the amount of assets that are issued on traditional infrastructure will go down, and the amount of assets issued on modern blockchain-based infrastructure will go up. And at some point, there will be this flip moment. And I think that is where it's about how do we bring the benefits of blockchain, like instant settlement, like reduced participants in this financial system, increased efficiencies. How do we bring that to all assets all around the world? Be that, things like around climate change, like carbon tracking, that's important, that's asset tokenization. Be that power grid management, asset tokenization. Through all of these different instruments, and all of them do have their own specifics. But that is where blockchain innovation is happening in a very generalized fashion. And it doesn't matter if you're using Ethereum as a smart contract platform, or as a cloud computer, or you're using Quorum, Corda, Hype, or versions of Hyperledger. These are all general purpose platforms that developers and institutions can code to their own requirements, depending on whatever there are and whatever asset there is on tokenization. Now, it does bring a host of other problems. For example, how do you tokenize a physical asset? We may have things like actual, hardware that is required to be put into machines to actually verify this information. But that is where, looking forward over the next decade, it's important to not just look at blockchain as one of the things that's going to enable this to happen, but looking at all of these new technologies from IoT, from AI, from AR and VR, and then thinking, okay, well, how are we actually upgrading the entire infrastructure to how we manage data, of which blockchain, does manage one of the most important things in data, which is what is true and what is not true. All of the other technologies are focused around, how do I interpret data? How do I look at data? How do I interact with data? Whereas blockchain is the only one that says, hey, this is the data that's actually true. So I think taking a little bit of a step back and going, to NFTs, we've seen NFTs evolve over, since 2017, right, with CryptoKitties when that first came out. And as with many of the things, be that ICOs, STOs, NFTs, it really does happen in waves in the ecosystem. But at the end of the day, if you take it on a bigger time horizon, it comes back to maturity. And with STOs, after the ICO hype in 2018, STOs were all the rage. Everyone was like, we're going to do STOs, but that's where the regulation wasn't there. The compliance in place, was not there. And now again, we're starting to see, these are starting to come back, and we're hearing stories, even though it is hard for us to verify as block data, as a market intelligence firm, that there are tens of billions of dollars worth of assets that are now being tokenized in jurisdictions all around the world and being put on blockchain-based systems. But these are not JPEGs being tokenized. These are equity. These are loans. These are bonds. And so we are at the very beginning phases of this upgrade process that I mentioned at the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. This is where the future of not just DeFi, but the crypto is heading towards. And you mentioned what is going to be tokenized into a blockchain infrastructure. The potential is enormous. And right now we see anything can be. We are seeing JPEGs, we are seeing equities. They are two very, different, they do belong to very different spaces.